It's a monsoon day here in Delhi NCR. It's been raining since morning, and it's been raining runs in the Ashes, second test match at the Lord's Cricket Ground. The big news from there is, of course, the 32nd test 100 by the one and only Stephen Smith. So our debate today, I don't know whether it's even a debate, because Harshit has come up with this debate topic, but it should not have been a debate topic. It should be a statement.
True.
Smith is the GOAT in Test cricket, not settled.
No, I'm saying the debate is settled.
Debate is settled. Can anybody argue for anybody else other than Steve Smith for being the GOAT? Let's go one by one. Let's start with the man who gave the title. Can you think of anybody else who's the GOAT in Test cricket at the moment?
See, of course, if you were to just look at numbers in isolation, yes, he has a very, very good advantage. And yes, numbers, whenever you're looking at players, and those are some of the numbers that we put together for you. Well, those numbers really, peg him at number one where he really is. So there's no debate over there as to who is the GOAT at the moment. But I think the larger debate of let's say, has he well and truly left the likes of Root, Williamson and Kohli behind? When you look at the fact that there are some years left in a certain Virat Kohli with Joe Root as well.
So you're saying he may seem like the GOAT right now, but he will not finish as the GOAT. Who do you think will?
He may not.
Who do you think then? Quickly.
Smith, Virat Kohli.
In Test, this is by the way, just so that there's no confusion.
Yes.
This is only a Test cricket debate.
I don't see.
So bring one day, then nobody can come close.
Exactly.
To that.
So, even with Test, I would want to give Virat Kohli a chance, because again, you're looking at a Virat Kohli who does certainly have a few years in him. You do, and given the statements that he himself has made, his love for Test cricket, age, everything, you expect him to be focusing on Test cricket. Come, let's say in a few years' time as well, over the next couple of years, maybe he'll give up a certain format or not. But Test cricket is something he wants to enjoy and play. The gulf isn't that big. You're looking at him only 4 centuries behind Steve Smith as things stand. Only. I will say only. I'll tell you why. Because you're, let's say, playing West Indies. To begin with, you're looking at West Indies and South Africa later.
So, दो तो आ ही रही हैं, you're saying.
I will say, I won't actually discount those two. I am definitely looking for 1 century from Virat over there. So the gulf isn't enough for me to say that okay, he will certainly be finishing as number 1.
So you said he is just, in fact, he is only 4 centuries behind Steve Smith. So a certain Joe Root was only, I think, 10 odd centuries behind Virat Kohli when the year 2020 started, or in fact not 10 centuries, I think must have been somewhere around 13 centuries or maybe 12 centuries behind Virat Kohli. And now
we're talking about 2020 perhaps.
No, I'm talking about, because after in 2019 Virat got that 100 in Kolkata. Thereafter he got the next Test century that he got was in Ahmedabad.
Yeah.
Okay, so and the very same Joe Root, who was somewhere around 10 centuries behind Virat Kohli, from 2021, in January 2021, from that day he has scored 13 Test centuries.
Okay.
So, and you also are talking about the Test cricket is something that Virat Kohli holds very dear to, and he will give up some format. You are talking about a player, Steve Smith, Joe Root, who perhaps have already given up on at least one format.
Yeah.
So they already are thinking about, and 99 Test matches, 32 tons, and out, by the way, 32 Test centuries and 37 half centuries in those Test matches, which also tells you the conversion rate that he's had. It is almost 50%. So which means then that if he gets to 50% of the times he goes on to convert it to 100. So for me, in the last decade, Steve Smith has been the best Test batsman. Virat Kohli, across format, overall if you look at him, he is the
we are not going to look at across
cricketer.
Format. Then there is no debate.
Across format.
No, but what made you think Harshit is saying that he feels Kohli will end up as GOAT in Test cricket? But what is giving you that confidence? Because I mean, you just look at 32 tons that Smith has got in 10 fewer test matches, right? And he's already 4 test tons ahead. So what is giving you that confidence?
I'll tell you what. So these numbers are inclusive of the fact that Virat Kohli had that roughly about 3-year odd lean patch in which he had no test tons, right? This is when a 3-year lull and still he is, let's say, well within reach. He's not out of reach, out of sight, out of mind. That's not the thing over here. That's what gives me the confidence. Virat Kohli, he's got that 100 here. That hoodoo's broken. So I don't want to give Virat Kohli.
Are we actually judging players by the number of centuries that they've scored?
No, we're probably just making a case for this debate.
Do you have the other parameters also, some runs and whatever?
No, because you travel so much.
I will then add to the fact that these matches also include a Virat Kohli who's won the Border Gavaskar trophy with this. Virat Kohli, the captain, also when you talk about Test cricket, makes a case. For me, let's say when we're talking about Virat, the GOAT.
Virat is the best Test captain that India has ever had.
Exactly. So when I'm looking at these,
we are talking about, I think we're talking about the batters, and I think Nasir Hussain.
There is a quote which we will show, which is doing the round on internet, which is saying, first I'll read the quote. The Fab Four is no longer existent, not in test at least. Kohli's test match form has nosedived and hasn't been able to take off from a long time now. He does not look half a player Smith and Root are in red ball cricket. This is a quote that Harshit has made and put it out. But this, I will now tell you on air, is a fake quote. Fabricated quote.
I was about to ask you if it is real or not.
No, so he thought it's real because he saw few verified accounts.
From?
When did you see this?
just about an hour back.
No, he said something similar about a week ago.
No,
a week ago.
That was much before, and that was
I think 10 days ago. And where he said ki, the first operative part he did say, I think, or something similar. Not the second.
So I was wary of that when I first read this. I was also wary of it. Then I went to the handle just to cross check before we put it out. I just want to cross check. Seemed like a legit account and had the same, let's say, work profile as all of us.
Not a single media house has carried it. So you have to see that. Twitter is not news source.
I'm just saying the entity carried the same.
This is a fake quote. But what this quote is doing is leading us into that discussion. Because it's a thought.
Exactly.
So this is a fake quote. Nasir Hussain has not said it.
Right.
Someone has said it.
Yes, somebody has said it. So this is a thought.
It may not have been said by anyone. It could be a blogger.
But somebody in the sense, whoever wrote this said it now.
Yeah, it could
so
be.
Nasir Hussain did not.
But it's a thought worth debating.
Yes, so that's what my point is. Now let's go across the room. That somebody came up with this. Then there was a notorious mind who came up with this, attributed to Nasir Hussain, gave him this quote, which is not true. We are again saying that this is not true. Nasir Hussain has not said it. But there is a verified handle or 2 or 3 verified handles who put this out. Clearly there is a thought. Now let's go across the room. Do you agree with this thought? This is not what Nasir Hussain has said. Whoever's thought this is.
The first part, yes. I would agree.
So, which means you agree the second part. If there are no Fab Four, then
no, he says he's not even half a player.
Acha, that bit. No, but that you agree. Then nosedived, then hasn't been.
I mean, stats are telling you the story. Harshit is saying that
come out of the
Virat is the GOAT for him because 3 years ago he had been the best, and even now he's competing even with the 3 year.
What I'm saying is,
but what is your reference point? If I may ask,
I'm not saying that he
is your reference point today or is your reference point 3 years ago?
My point comes from where we are at the moment. Yes, I'm not making any past references. The only past reference, let's say, that I am making is that given what he said about his love for Test cricket, given the fact that there is some sort of form.
Whose love?
Virat Kohli's love for Test cricket. And I don't see a big gulf over there.
But how do you know that?
Come out of the court, Naya.
No, I'm saying, of course, they will also develop on the lead.
Given up on at least one format.
And that's not to say that these guys will stop scoring runs and it'll be a free passage for Virat Kohli, come leapfrog us.
Honestly, Steve Smith, when he finishes, may end up as one of the greatest ever in the history of Test cricket. This guy averages some 60 odd runs.
Yeah, show those figures.
Yes.
Which I think has to be in the top 3 or top 4. And if you look at the Test matches that he's played and his average, it is freakish.
It is.
Only Don Bradman could have, done what this guy has done.
Yeah.
Nobody else. Nobody else. You also look at somebody like Kalis. Look at somebody like Sangakkara. They've scored runs. It's just that he's a South African, he's a Sri Lankan. So obviously, there will not be that kind of fanfare. The Indians would still say that Virat Kohli is not just the GOAT now, he's the greatest ever. And the Pakistanis would also agree. Most of them.
No, not in
On
Test
social
cricket.
media.
Not in Test cricket. I don't think
I'm saying
Indians will
we
say
tend
that.
to believe.
Sorry.
If you ask most Indians,
see, Virat-
Test cricket GOAT.
Virat still is unfinished.
Yeah.
He's not a finished article.
Which is a big part of my case.
But Steve Smith is also still playing.
Exactly.
In this month alone,
Yeah.
in
He
this
played
month
three more
alone,
tests.
he won them the World Test Championship final. Got 100
With a
on the day
century.
it mattered.
Yeah.
Yesterday, his team was put into bat, seeming conditions, got a century.
Yeah.
May yet win this test match for his team and the series perhaps.
Yeah.
So Steve Smith is also unfinished. Joe Root, I feel, by the time he finishes, in the generation that we are living in, he could be the closest to get to Sachin Tendulkar in terms of the test runs,
Okay.
if not the centuries. 51 test centuries, I doubt now, because I doubt if players would be playing 170, 180 test matches. Joe Root may end up as the closest in this generation or the generations to come to get to Tendulkar's some 16,000 odd runs.
Yeah.
15,000.
15, 4, 5,
15,000.
8, something like that. Yeah.
So they are also still playing.
Yeah.
Virat got a century after 3.5 years,
Yes.
and that was the last test inning that he played
Ahmedabad.
in India, and then went to the World Test Championship final. He may score runs. He may take his tally from 28 to possibly 36 and become the second highest century maker for India in test matches, which is a possibility, or may end up with 40 also. But once he crosses 40 and Steve Smith doesn't, or Joe Root doesn't, then you can say in this generation he's the GOAT.
Yes.
But there are so many ifs and buts.
No, so just to, I think what
His average now
what he want,
has come below 50,
yeah, I know what
Yes,
his point
which is a worrying
was.
sign.
His point was, just to reiterate what his point was, he said that at the moment, if you look at the numbers, then Steve Smith is the greatest. Correct me if I'm
Yeah.
wrong. He feels that this is looking like that because of 3 poor years that Virat has had, and he believes.
No,
which
that's
may
why
not
I'm asking him, what is the reference point?
So he feels.
See, is this
that
the reference
worst-
point?
No, not this. Only Test cricket. So what he believes is that the worst is behind him,
Okay.
and that never again will he go through a patch like that,
Joe Root, for example,
and so he'll get more.
went
Is
through
that
a
what you're
similar
saying?
slump.
Yes. And I'm
But by
saying
For
the
so
way-
many years,
But by the way, the problem with Joe Root at that time was that he was
was getting runs.
He was getting
But
runs,
not getting
but he
centuries.
was not getting centuries.
Right.
Rahul, the parameter to judge these players for all of us will be centuries and never the runs.
That-
There'd be players who
Yeah.
would be scoring a brilliant 50 to win them a test match, yet we would look at
No,
centuries.
but
only.
what you
And
said,
averages,
but
maybe,
what you
not
said-
runs.
But what you said a little while ago, when you said that he won you a World Test Championship final with a century, and now in the second Test match, he
And
got
the Ashes.
and he got
The last Ashes.
20
that was a
in-
drawn-
in
19.
That was a drawn this thing.
Whatever.
But still, I agree.
He was the highest
I
run getter
agree,
then as well. I think he was
agree. Nobody
averaging.
expected him to make such a brilliant
And this guy didn't play
comeback.
test cricket for 2 years? Or one and a half years?
1.5.
What?
Yeah,
One
but
and
the
a half
ban.
years.
He didn't play.
2019 he came back.
So,
Yeah.
must have missed about 10 test matches.
Yeah,
If
more
not
than that.
No,
more
no,
than that.
easily more. Easily
more
more.
than that.
So,
And-
these centuries could have been 36, 37, 38.
Yeah, actually, that's also a fair point. If, as you're making that, if Virat went through the slump, he didn't get a chance to play only.
I'm just saying. What
So, look at somebody like Williamson here. Understated.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's got 28 test centuries in 94 test matches.
and
Which
most
means
of the
his
years
average-
he would have played in
New Zealand.
New Zealand.
Though now certain New Zealand grounds you can score big.
No, I still understand.
It's
No,
not the New Zealand of
giving him-
90s.
Yeah, he would have also scored runs elsewhere. I think England he's not scored too many.
Yeah, England he hasn't. And Smith, he's been scoring runs consistently and everywhere. I think South Africa he hasn't played much. There also I think he has got 100. England is scored runs. India has got runs, close to 1,000 runs. Not too many test matches here for, I think must have played 8 to 10 test matches. And look at the player, Australia I think came here in 2013. So we were covering that test series and he came here as a leg spinner.
Yeah.
So
He made his debut at Lord's.
At number
As a
8.
leggy.
He batted at number 8.
So imagine what happened. So there you have those nets outside the main stadiums. You have those practice nets. So he was there bowling in the nets, and Bishan Singh Bedi came, had a chat with him.
He was the spin consultant. Yes,
so
on that tour.
and after Bishan Singh Bedi was done with that session, he came out and we all spoke to him. Said, what do you make of Steve Smith? He said, he needs to improve, but he's good. He wants to learn. He'll do well. He has to bowl well, and all these things that discussed. Who knew that today, 10 years later, we would be discussing that Smith is actually the greatest of all time in Test cricket.
Yeah.
If Virat would have been 70% of what he was in 2019, he may have been close to some 35, 36 test centuries.
Agreed.
Would have definitely crossed 10,000 test runs. And then the debate would have been, like I said, will he end up as the greatest ever?
So what I'm saying is,
Right now, he's not scored runs.
he's not scored runs. But
As on today,
if we are to let's
June
just
2023, I think Steve Smith has to be number 1 and
Yeah.
Joe Root number 2.
Yeah.
And Williamson number 3
And by the way,
Simple as that.
I wouldn't
in 94
mind
test match.
If it changes in the next 12 months or 24 months,
If your sample size is last 2-3 years, I would actually put both of them alongside each other,
Yeah.
Root and Smith. By the way, Joe Root got runs in Sri Lanka, came to India,
Got
runs here. Everywhere in the
no,
world.
Rahul, if you just look at the last 2-3 years, then Virat will not
That's
even be in
what
the
I'm
list.
saying. Yeah.
So it
I
is
will
always
probably
the
be
recent
talking about
2-3
a Babar
years,
also, by the way.
plus the pedigree that you have.
I completely agree because
So-
Virat is there. He has to be one of the best. But if you have to pick the best, I think it has to be Smith overall because he's
Again,
been very
Virat would have 2
consistent.
test matches now in West Indies and year and maybe
South Africa.
2 test matches in
Just
South Africa.
2 test matches.
So, and do we have any home series? I think some team would
England
come here.
next year are coming.
ठीक है. So they'll play 5 test matches.
Yeah.
So maybe these 9 test matches by the time the IPL starts or by the time we are here next year in 12 months, these 9 test matches may actually
9
give
test
him
centuries.
another 6 test centuries, like I said, or
So
just 1 or 2.
one of the things that I do want to say. So yes, of course, right now Steve Smith head and shoulders above the rest. But the last part of our title over here says that is it settled? For me, the debate's not settled.
It will never be settled.
No, perhaps yes, of course. In about a few years' time, when you can look at bigger numbers and they're all at the
See,
end of their
then we
careers.
should do the show 3 years from now, not now.
Yeah.
And now, you gave
I have not seen the title. I can't
No.
see the title.
So you have to talk about what is happening now. Na?
Yeah.
So right now,
No, I'm saying it's not
Else we
settled.
should come back 3 years later.
No,
and
I'm
do
saying
the
it's
show.
not settled. It's not settled for me right now also
Acha,
because
aa gaya.
yeah, I'm saying for now, even right now when Steve Smith.
But I
has
think
that
as
sort
of now,
a lead.
your title says has he justified it today?
No, because there are people who have called him the GOAT already.
As
So
of now,
as of now,
as of
he is
today, he
good.
is.
Yes.
He is.
But
Let
if you
Gagi
say-
also-
if you
Yeah, at
establish
times
somebody
you
as
would
the
say
GOAT,
Roger
if you-
Federer is the GOAT. Then you would say XYZ is the
Nadal
GOAT.
is the
Today
GOAT.
it is Djokovic.
yeah.
It'll keep changing. See, 10 years ago, when we would discuss, look at the fantasy all-time Indian Test 11, there were people who would select Saurav Ganguly in the team. Now, Virat Kohli will be in the team. There were no takers for Ashwin 10 years ago. Harbhajan would have been your second spinner after Anil Kumble. Today it could be Ashwin. So, as on today, I think it has to be Steve Smith.
Yep.
And Joe Root, number 2.
Okay. Speak.
No, for as of now, he has settled the conversation. And this is a statement, by the way, for me that Steve Smith is the GOAT in Tests
So
right
not
now.
a question,
Not a question, a statement. But I think what really sets apart someone like a Steve Smith or a Joe Root is the fact that they have, kind of molded themselves for Test cricket and not any other thing. There are no distractions for them. And in a day and age where there's so much franchise cricket and all of that, these are players who are enrolling in franchise cricket to make their test cricket better. I mean, that says a lot about them. Joe Root, I think when he put himself up for the IPL auction, he said that he wanted to play the IPL to kind of get a few aggressive shots for his test career, test cricket.
But the same can happen with Virat, right? He's playing franchise cricket, so
That's true, but he's not someone who's only focused on test cricket, is he?
Oh, so
That's
you
a good
think
point.
yeah, I agree that his attention in that sense
Yeah,
then gets
it is
divided, whereas these
yeah.
guys have completely focused on test cricket.
Yeah.
And so
After
that-
But
Steve
that also
Smith-
has something to do with the bench strength that these players have. Steve Smith was part of the last T20 World Cup squad that Australia,
Yeah.
in fact, at least he was in consideration, and he got runs in the Big Bash League, and in fact, at a pretty good rate also. His strike rate was very good, so he also wanted to play. It's not that, because in India you have allowed people and players to continue to play in all formats, and there's nothing wrong as far if you allow me to play every format, I am ready to play,
Yeah.
because I would also want to score runs in every format. That's how cricketers are, and especially when we are talking about cricketers like Virat Kohli, even Rohit Sharma, everybody would want. But for Australia, for England, I think they want to change. They have changed their squads, they've changed their approach, everything. And secondly, GOAT, as far as GOAT is concerned, today we use this word so loosely. Everybody is a GOAT, by the way.
No, we're talking
All
about
the
this
goats need
generation.
to stay indoors today. All the goats need to stay indoors.
Do
today.
not. This is a very good point that
Don't
Gargi
go here and there.
The goats had to stay indoors.
Today,
No, he's saying it's a very good point.
No, I'm talking about the point that Gargi made. No, the point is, so which leads me to a final bit of question before we wind up, because she makes a point and just show us the overall number that you showed of all of it. See, we were only talking about test cricket, but if you look at all formats, then I wouldn't hesitate to put Virat Kohli number one. If you're going to look at all the four, because if you put all formats, then he's clearly the number one guy. 15,000 international runs. Look at the least amount of innings that he's played, and Smith there comes a distant second, or Williamson actually comes a distant second there, and then Root and then Smith. So if you compare overall, I don't know, the point is, and maybe all of us can answer, is what Gargi says. If let's say Virat wants to get back into the overall, I think he's the GOAT right now in international cricket. But if he wants to get back into the conversation, and because he loves test cricket and because he said that that's the number one format, if he wants to get back into the conversation of being a GOAT in test and be remembered like that, because we know that he wants to be like that, should he then give up on a format or two and focus towards test cricket? And that will allow him probably to get to that dream of being the test GOAT as well.
He won't, nobody will. 2024, you will see.
But he
Virat
says
Kohli in
test is most
No,
important
that's
now.
fine. For him, test cricket
It's
is
not a big
paramount.
sacrifice to
that-
make
that's- No, but,
to be the
no,
GOAT
no, but
in
he
test.
would say, I can be the best in all three.
But then you're saying now he's
You will
lagging
see him
behind
in
in test.
2024 T20 World Cup.
he'll be in the team.
He will be there. Rohit Sharma will also be there. Will be there for the consideration also. That's what I feel.
The next year's World T20.
Next year's World T20. No?
No, if you think they deserve, then why not? Yeah.
That
It is very subjective. They may actually serve the nation.
serve the nation as in do you want them to go?
To the
Cricketers
border.
Want them
also
to become
serve
an
the
Agni.
nation. No, they serve the nation, yeah.
Yeah. They are.
No, so answer the
The
question.
joys and the sorrows.
Should he think of, if he want, because we know how much he cares about test
See,
cricket.
I'll agree with Rahul. No Indian player will ever give up on any format.
Why not? If you desire to be the GOAT
He will
in
not.
test, like if that's my
why,
desire,
why would he not want to be the GOAT in every format?
oh, GOAT in T20 or GOAT in IPL doesn't.
He may say it
come-
is unfinished
It
business.
doesn't mean anything.
He may
GOAT
say,
in
I want
test-
to win the World T20 as well.
Yes.
World T20, okay, maybe just come for World T20. But IPL GOAT, who will care? But test GOAT, we will talk for 10 years, 15
But
years.
I'll tell you something now. Right now, while we are discussing, in this room, we are unanimous on the fact that right now, Steve Smith is the test GOAT.
Yes.
At the same time, everybody is also saying, na, Virat Kohli is the all format GOAT.
Yeah.
So in today's context, you cannot ignore T20 or one days. You cannot. Josh Butler, is he a test great?
Not at all.
He's a white ball great. On Morgan. So it's a fact that in modern day cricket, you will also look at the white ball performances of the players and give them preferences. Ideally, at some stage or the other, you've got to drop a format. The problem is the Indian players do not do that. The selectors will be forced to do that. Now the point is, do the selectors have it in them to tell a player
Getting a new
of the
selector.
stature of
Yeah,
Rohit
that's what I was saying.
or Virat or anybody else that, see, you still have T20 left in you. We agree, we respect that. But here's our formula, and somehow or the other, you do not fit into that formula. They will not be able to do that. Now you're looking at a chief selector. Ajit Agarkar is the front runner. They're
I
also
think
throwing
he will be.
Ajit Agarkar will be, but
Vengsarkar's name.
This
No,
is
Ajit Agarkar.
name floating. Ravi Shastri.
And why is it
Dilip
that
Vengsarkar.
all three names are from West Zone only? Basically, Dilip Vengsarkar and Ravi Shastri's name is, their names are also doing the rounds. Why is it that
If given a choice, Dilip Vengsarkar would love to do that.
He would, yeah.
And even money will not be an issue. But Ravi Shastri,
won't.
of course, his value could be some 6 to 8 crore rupees, which is 8 times of what you're giving now. So if you want to give 8 times the amount to Ravi Shastri, then there'd be 10 other legends here who would want to do the same for that kind of money. Then why is it that every time you go back to Ravi Shastri only? As coach, as selector,
Even director.
as mentor.
But that's
as
BCCI's wish.
So
Cricketers,
that's
they
what I'm
want to
saying.
get that
But
job.
I think Ajit Agarkar,
even
Ajit Agarkar
even
will be
for
the one.
Ajit Agarkar,
And somehow or the other, I have faith in him. I have confidence in the fact that Ajit Agarkar, very soft spoken,
Yeah.
but no nonsense guy.
Yes.
I don't think Ajit
coming up. I'm in a
Agarkar
live,
can
just
be
coming
bullied by the coach
I'm just coming up.
or the
I'm just
captain
coming up.
or
I'm in
any
live,
senior.
just coming
No,
up.
but- and also by
I think he's somebody
and also
in his own sweet little way will take the decisions.
and will send out the messages also, and also you'll have to see how the Indian team fares in the World Cup, because see, today if you want to make the coach, you can have Ravi Shastri as your coach, Virender Sehwag, Sunil Gavaskar, Sachin Tendulkar, anybody, but the point is that now you
No,
are so
we are
close to
winding
the
up.
World
We're
Cup,
not
you
taking-
are so close to the World Cup, whatever Rahul Dravid asks, you will have to give it to him, whether it is Ajit Agarkar, Virender Sehwag, Tendulkar or anybody, because it is his job on the line also, and he will go after, he will ask the selectors whatever it may be, that I need this, and he will get
There
it.
have been 2 ICC tournaments, one in Dubai, one in Australia, and this one will be the third. Your coaches, captains have always asked the selectors. They've gotten whatever they wanted to. So yeah, kabhi to you should allow the selectors also to, I'm not saying put your foot down, but have a debate. Have a debate at least, yeah.
Who will debate?
Do these selectors?
Shiv Sundar Das.
No, why? Shiv was there in London, by the way. Nikhil would remember. I mean, what kind of planning was that, yeah? To win the toss and put the other team in? Now that you took a decision, it backfired. You lost. Can the selectors, the same selectors then, in another meeting, ask the captain
Yes.
and the coach
That's-
and your chairman, the officiating chairman, Shiv Sundar Das, what went wrong and why? Do you know how this meeting happened? The team that has been picked for West Indies? Do you know?
Yeah.
So, Rahul Dravid, the coach, goes to the selection committee and tells them that I've had a discussion with Shiv. And Shiv, you agree? Yes. So, we had a discussion. So, guys, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Guy said, okay, fine, move on. So, the coach's role cannot be also to select teams. He wanted a different white ball captain
he can
after the World T20 defeat. It's just that the selectors somehow had teed and they said no, Hardik Pandya has to be the next T20 captain. They were pushing for KL
KL
Rahul,
Rahul, yeah.
the senior players and the coach. So the point is that this selection committee, because after Chetan Sharma, this is a new selection committee, and look at somebody like Subroto Banerjee, S. Sharath, Salil Ankola, Shiv Sundar Das. They'd be very happy with the fact that they're sitting in the same room as somebody like Rahul Dravid or Rohit or whosoever.
They have
And I'm not saying that they'd be dictated to.
But I'm surprised that
their
Salil
numbers also.
Ankola
They may-
would agree to that. He's quite a strong
Sorry?
personality.
Salil Ankola will have to step down once Ajit Agarkar becomes the chief selector.
No, but now they're saying zonal is
No,
not.
not now.
So what will
Ah,
happen
in
eventually.
November, December.
next
Ah,
year
December.
in January, because
After the first year.
Salil
Yeah.
Ankola's, because now what BCCI has changed is that every selector will have his contract will they'll renew the contract depending on how
Yeah,
he
after a
fares
year.
it.
Ah.
So Salil Ankola's contract will expire on I think maybe 6th or 7th of January. So in January next year, Ajit Agarkar will remain as the chief selector, and somebody from North Zone, maybe Ajay Ratra, could be your fourth selector, or rather the fifth selector, and Salil Ankola will no
Then-
longer be the. And by the way, even for Ajit Agarkar, if he becomes the chief selector, there will be a considerable salary hike. I think what I know is that I think they are ready to increase that salary to say about 2.5 crores.
Double it.
It's
from what?
already been increased to 1.5, if I'm not wrong.
Says who?
BCCI.
When?
No.
I read one news article.
No, yaar, it's
That's
1
right.
crore for chief selector, 90 lakhs per.
As of now. So the day they appoint, then they may
All other.
change it. And we are hearing that it will be somewhere around 2.5 CR if it is Agarkar.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
maybe not.
Though he surely was getting, I think, a little more than that with Delhi Capitals. But I'm guessing.
And he also does media.
Yeah, but now he won't be able to do.
So
but actually,
you want to combine the cost.
but when he signed with Delhi Capitals, I think he gave up on media
Okay.
also. So we pretty much safe. Unfortunately, can't take
We'll
your
let you know on second or third. You can take these questions.
questions. No,
No,
we
no.
can't.
Let me read, yeah.
Why
saying-
he's saying anyone having deja vu of 2022, KL, Bumrah, Shreyas injured, Sanju going to West Indies, not set, Scott, horrible.
Indian cricket will always be deja vu.
Do you think BCCI sending
Till you
men's
change the
team
system.
at Asian Games gives a signal that cricket has good chance to be included at LA Olympics?
That's
Just
Possibly.
Olympics.
That's already been
LA?
Yes, sir.
already been discussed.
LA.
2030.
Will cricket be there?
28 LA is 2028
That-
or
28.
22?
No, that decision.
32 is Brisbane.
No, that decision is not
28 is LA.
I think they will have that discussion
In Mumbai.
For the
Yeah.
you have this
in the
what do
IOC
you call that?
conference or whatever.
Yeah.
That decision will be taken in Mumbai in October. So
Siddharth was at the World Cup schedule launch.
Yes.
Private.
he's on chutti.
He
Yeah.
could have.
He's an enthusiast.
No, he could have done a live for us then.
He did a live for supposed to.
I was not even aware of it. Yeah.
He's on chutti, so
अरे भाई छुट्टी
he's an enthusiast. What can I say?
तो enthusiast could have also done. You would have loved to have him.
Shaheen, go down. I don't think the debate is seniors in World Cup 2024. It's just Virat in World Cup 2024 because others, IPL T20 World Cup 2021-22 automatically have got them.
So he's saying Virat will be the only. Ideally, should be the only.
Only case. to be
Based on these
considered.
performances. Yeah.
Tipu Sultan ji hain. Sir, there is new what that Dhawan.
News.
Okay, new
Asia Cup, Shikhar Dhawan.
That
will be.
Shikhar Dhawan will be the captain of the Asia Cup or Asian Games.
Asian Games he
Games,
must be.
Asian
That's
Games.
why.
Ayush Bhattacharya is saying कि जी forget test. Steve Smith is the best after Dawn. In test cricket, in terms of averages, yes. I don't know in terms of runs and centuries, where will he finish?
Any more? Goodbye then.
See you. Bye bye. On that note, don't wait for our game today. It's raining, so good chance you might not have it.
Raining?
It is raining outside.
Huh?
It was sunny when I
Yeah,
came in.
No, it was.
Any
it was-
update from our
It was
fellows?
very cloudy.
I don't know the
Rain shadow
our
area.
ground rain shadow area. I have no idea. Yeah, but it's raining in Noida.